Oh, good morning, YouTube. Hope everyone's doing well in the midst of all that we're facing day to day, and that your family and friends are all happy, and we're learning to be happy and taking control of our lives. But today, I actually want to do Bible study. Bible study, can you imagine? Um, the Bible's always been very fascinating to me, and the most fascinating part about the Bible is. For many years, I never believed it. Never believed. I just thought it was like, okay, I don't know what that is. Didn't make sense to me. Never tried to read it. Of course, through years, you hear people talk about it and on and on and on. And then at that time, of course, I was taught that the world is round. We're all taught that, right? Everybody knows that. Come on, Galileo went to jail for saying some nonsense about the world being round, but eventually they bought it, right? So this is kind of crazy because lately I've been confronted with the idea that maybe, actually, I should say in the last few years, I've been getting to realize that maybe there is some truth in these so-called Bible stories. And there actually is enough truth and lies in there for closer examination, mind you. Um, so I've been examining it a little bit closer and trying to put two and two together. So, here we are, we're taught that, a lot of stories and we're supposed to believe the stories and stories are supposed to make sense and we're just supposed to believe it, and it's amazing how the psychological manipulation that goes along with indoctrination, kind of makes you, a lot of people buy into it. They don't buy into all of it. They just buy into part of it, only the part that supports what they think, which is amazing because it supports anything you want to think. Anything you want to think, it can be supported by biblical scripture. Doesn't matter, like rape, torture, mayhem, those sorts of things. You can justify it. Say, hey, it was written in the Bible. That's why I did it. But you don't need the Bible to justify anything. But anyway, the point of this talk today is actually in the process of re examining the concept of a flat earth, somebody posited some biblical scripture in regards to that. And when you look at it from a physics point of view, realistically, water always seeks its own level. Water never curves. It's always flat. It just, it lays out there. Water always does that. We see it in front of us. Always. Doesn't it make sense? So if it's flat, what is there to support this other than, you can take a fisheye lens and make it look round, or you can, take a picture of something through a round window like a spacecraft and say that it's round, but is it really round like a ball in space? And if it is round like a ball in space, wouldn't the so-called biblical scriptures support that? Oh, wait a minute. Let's go back to the Egyptians. And we could talk about a lot of different things because they didn't show the world is round. I never knew that for a long time. There's some etchings on a temple wall of what they call the firmament. Hang on to that thought because we're going to get back to that. But the firmament. Um, everybody knows what a dome looks like, right? A dome. And if you consider a dome, certainly makes much more sense when you realize that water is flat. So, does it support this? Let's look at the Bible and see what it says. I got it right up here. I'm going to have to look up. This is kind of interesting, but at any rate, in the New International Version, we're talking about Psalm 104, chapter 5. This is where we're at. If you want to get out your Bible and follow along, feel free. That'd be great. Anyway, The New International Version says he set the earth on its foundations. It can never be moved. The New Living Translation, you placed the world on its foundation so it would never be moved. English Standard Version, he set the earth on its foundation so that it should never be moved. The Berean, we got all these variations on Bibles, people, so I want to cover a few of them because they all kind of get back to the same comment, The Berean Study Bible, he set the earth on its foundations never to be moved. The King James, your favorite one, who laid the foundations of the earth that it should not be removed forever. The New American Standard Bible, he established the earth upon its foundations so that it will not totter forever and ever. He established the earth upon its foundation so that it will not totter forever and ever. The Amplified Bible, he established the earth on its foundation so that it will not be moved forever and ever. The Christian Standard Bible, he established the earth on its foundations, it will never be shaken. The Holman Christian Standard Bible says he established the earth on its foundations, it will never be shaken. The American Standard Version, who laid the foundations of the earth that it should not be moved forever. The Aramaic Bible in plain English, he has prepared earth upon its foundations that will not move for an eternity of eternities. Oh, wow, that's a hell of a long time. On and on, people. What does that mean? Does it mean we're spinning on a ball flying through space? Or is that just a crock of BS? Okay, look, we can go to Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy is a pretty fascinating part of the Bible. When you consider Deuteronomy, you know what? Just for shits and giggles, let's just do it. Let's just do it. Because you know what? Let's see. Here we go. Deuteronomy. And we want, Deuteronomy 28 is a good one. Okay. Is it 28? Okay, no. I think it was 25. 25, because there's some funny things going on, with this Bible stuff. You know what I'm saying? No, it wasn't 20. It wasn't 25. There's certainly something to be said. Of course, I don't know this book very well, people, but I still find it fascinating that we can get to this, all right, we're going to go with this one. Okay. 28. If you fully obey the Lord your God and carefully follow all his commands I give you today, the Lord your God will set you high above all the nations on earth. All these blessings will come on you and accompany you if you obey the Lord your God. From what I could tell, he's talking to the African right now. You will be blessed in the city and blessed in the country. The fruit of your womb will be blessed, and the crops of your land, and the young of your livestock, the calves of your herds, and the lambs of your flocks. Your basket and your kneading trough will be blessed. You will be blessed when you come in and blessed when you go out. Oh, I like that. Blessed when you come in and blessed when you go out. The Lord will grant that the enemies who rise up against you will be defeated before you. They will come at you from one direction, but flee from you in 7. That's what I'm talking about. The Lord will send a blessing on your barns and on everything you put your hand to. The Lord your God will bless you in the land he is giving you. I'm sorry, I'm just talking to black people right now. White people, listen and pay attention. The Lord will establish you as his holy people as he promised you on oath, on oath. If you keep the commands of the Lord your God and walk in obedience to him, then all the peoples on earth will see that you are called by the name of the Lord and they will fear you. The Lord will grant you abundant prosperity in the fruit of your womb, the young of your livestock, and the crops of your ground in the land he swore to your ancestors to give you. The Lord will open the heavens, the storehouse of his bounty, to send rain on your land in season and to bless all the work of your hands. He will lend to many nations, but will borrow from none. Did you hear me? The Lord will make you the head, not the tail, if you pay attention to the commands of the Lord your God that I give you this day and carefully follow them. You will always be at the top, never at the bottom. Do not turn aside from any of the commands I give you today, to the right or to the left. Follow other gods and serving them. Who are you serving today, by the way? Black people in America. Just asking. Who are you serving? Which God? Here we go. This is in the Bible, people. I'm talking about curses. Curses. If it was just full of blessings, it'd be wonderful, but there's curses in the Bible. I see everything from an African perspective, by the way. That's because I am of African descent, but story for other days. So anyway, it says, however, if you do not obey the Lord your God and do not carefully follow all his commands and decrees I am giving you today, all these curses will come on you and overtake you. Let us review what that means. You will be cursed in the city and cursed in the country. Your basket and your kneading trough will be cursed. The fruit of your womb will be cursed, and the crops of your land, and the calves of your herds, and the lambs of your flocks. You will be cursed when you come in and cursed when you go out. The Lord will send on you curses, confusion, and rebuke in everything you put your hand to until you are destroyed and come to sudden ruin because of the evil you have done in forsaking him. The Lord will plague you with diseases until he has destroyed you from the land you are entering to possess. The Lord will strike you with wasting disease, with fever and inflammation, with scorching heat and drought, with blight and mildew, which will plague you until you perish. The sky over your head will be bronze, the ground beneath you iron. The Lord will turn the rain of your country into dust and powder. It will come down from the skies until you are destroyed. You ever been seeing a volcano? Just saying. The Lord will cause you to be defeated before your enemies. You will come at them from one direction, but flee from them in seven. And you will become a thing of horror to all the kingdoms on earth. How do you feel, black people? Your carcasses will be food for all the birds and the wild animals, and there will be no one to frighten them away. The Lord will afflict you with the boils of Egypt and with tumors, festering sores, and the itch from which you cannot be cured. The Lord will afflict you with madness, blindness, and confusion of mind. At midday, you will grope about like a blind person in the dark. You will be unsuccessful in everything you do. Day after day, you will be oppressed and robbed with no one to rescue you. How do you feel, Black people? You will be pledged to be married to a woman, but another will take her and rape her. You will build a house, but you will not live in it. You will plant a vineyard, but you will not even begin to enjoy its fruit. Your ox will be slaughtered before your eyes, but you will eat none of it. Your donkey will be forcibly taken from you and will not be returned. Your sheep will be given to your enemies, and no one will rescue them. Your sons and daughters will be given to another nation, and you will wear out your eyes watching for them day after day, powerless to lift a hand. A people that do not know will eat what your land and labor produce, and you will have nothing but cruel oppression all your days. The sights you see will drive you mad. The Lord will afflict your knees and legs with painful boils, and that cannot be cured, spreading from the soles of your feet to the top of your head. The Lord will drive you and the king you set over to a nation unknown to you or your ancestors. There you will worship other gods, gods of wood and stone. You will become a thing of horror, a byword, and an object of ridicule among all the peoples where the Lord will drive you. Oh boy, you know what? That's enough to wear you out. I'm kind of got away from the flat earth thing, but you know what? It I'm just making some emotional comparisons as to the experience of a lot of African people all around the world, and they want to question why, but yet they go to church every Sunday. Do they see this? Is this news? Does it ring of truth? Oh. I'm going to skip over some because it's really intense. But I want to go on because this is so intense. It's like, my God, I'm reading. This is Bible study, people. I'm just studying the Bible, okay? So don't get all worked up or whatever. Get worked up if you want to. If you really want to believe in Jesus is going to come save you. Remember, the first slave ship was called Jesus off the west coast of Africa. See? Back to the story. The Lord will bring a nation against you from far away, from the ends of the earth, like an eagle swooping down, a nation whose language you will not understand, a fierce looking nation without respect for the old or pity for the young. They will devour the young of your livestock and the crops of your land until you are destroyed. They will leave you no grain, new wine, or olive oil, nor any calves of your herds or lambs or your flocks until you are ruined. They will lay siege to all the cities throughout your land until the high fortified walls in which you trust fall down. They will besiege all the cities throughout the land the Lord your God has given you. This is Deuteronomy, people. And like I say, for a long time, I didn't even believe this book, but I never really read it. But maybe if I had read it, I probably would have got mad a lot sooner. But anyway, cutesy stuff, right? Very disturbing. No one should be offended that I say these things this way. No one should be concerned that I say these things this way, but maybe you should. How do we change the circumstances in which we live today, but other than just facing the truth of our existence, the lies and the misconceptions that we are faced with day in and day out, and the indoctrinations that we have received from birth? We have received them from birth. So we spend our whole lives trying to dig back through the madness and try to figure out what's happening, because as a black man, I have to be aware that when I keep seeing black men being shot and in these videos of them being shot, and let's say face it, everybody gets shot. White people get shot, Asian people get shot, everybody gets shot. But it seems that we've been suffering this affliction a little too long. It seems to me to be unnatural to be living in a world where you can so easily get shot. So yes, we're all shot at. As a black man, I have been shot at for no particular reason. Was it because I was black? I can never question the white man that did it. Did he do it because I was black? I can never question him because he ran as I shot back. So those stories are disturbing, but you experience them, in the world we go through. It's like, man, why would somebody do that? Just come to kill you? Just because? But yet we must go on and we must do better. We must do better, people. I mean, and I think it takes a lot of soul searching, to be quite honest with you. I do a lot of that every day. Um, and then, like I say, the story goes on. I mean, but there's some redemption. I didn't get to that. I'll get to that. You know what? We'll do redemption on the next video. The curse is there. They told us the world was round when in fact our ancient ancestors said it was flat with a firmament. The Bible clearly states that it's fixed on a foundation. We know that in physics that water is flat, it seeks its own level. It's just a fact. You can't change it. Don't matter what you believe, that water is going to do what it does because it's probably a lot smarter than you if you believe it curves around a ball. I'm not trying to say everybody dumb. We all start believing things, and I believed it for a while, and I look at it and it's like, wait a minute, something's not adding up with our present situation on so many levels. There's 7 pillars of governance: education, legal, spiritual, medical, entertainment, and there's something else in there. They got everything covered. Got us bombarded with just complete nonsense day in and day out. But wait a minute, just enough truth in your face. And guess what? The truth is right in your face when you think about it. It is actually right there, right in your face. Nowadays, when I watch a lot of videos of the aerial photos and I keep watching that horizon, looking for that, because it should curve, if it was round, it wouldn't it? Wouldn't you see? And then no, there's another experiment because the calculations on the curvature just don't add up. And I'm not a mathematician, but I looked at those calculations and I've seen some other videos, and now I have to go do my own experiments to see if in fact it is true what they say. If there's an horizon and something goes over it and you can't see it, you should never be able to bring it back into view, correct? Unless you have a high powered telescope. Those instruments exist, high powered telescope. See with your own eyes. Does it drop over the edge? Because if it drops over the edge, you can't see it, right? More on the flat earth. I kind of like this topic because it kind of goes along with a lot of other stories, but a lot of other things that we live as people. And so I do want to mention an interesting interaction I had because every Sunday I do Zoom classes and I have open discussions with people who are interested in a lot of things that I speak about because I like to share information. I just happen to have a massive amount of it, but story for other days. So I invited some people from another group to come in, and a person did come into my group in a Zoom meeting. And out of all the videos I'd done and all the things I'd been throughout my life, I found it a very interesting encounter because this individual who came into the room immediately disrespected me on so many levels. And he based his disrespect off of one comment I made. And when I made the one comment, he decided he was having none of what I had to say after that, because his response was to my comment that I see the world through the eyes of a black man. He decided that he was getting ready to hear a victim story. A victim story? So when I meet, I said, now hold up, hold up, hold up. He spoke over me, would not let me continue, told me he was having none of that. He had to go. I'm trying to say, hold up. But he continued going off on so much effluent. It was amazing. I was like, oh my God, I did not expect that. But I live as a spiritual person, and I know that demons like to come at me. So I just considered him a demon, whether he was possessed at that moment. So as I try to deal with these demons, these people that want to come in and disrespect me just because I said I'm black, my God, it's, you can call it a political term. You could say I'm African, but nobody wants to believe it when I say it yet. What people, what other group wants to be treated like black people? Ask yourself that question. Would you want to be treated like black people every day of your life? And this ain't no victim story. Victim story? Are you kidding me? Ain't no victim. I came into this world like everybody, and I experienced the madness and the disrespect from just about every person I encounter. Why? Because they are brain dead most of the time. Most people don't think. I've seen this most of my life. Everybody's got their agenda, their beliefs, and they want to push it on you. They don't want to give you a chance to explain anything. But this is a new age right now. I get to say whatever I want to say, and whoever doesn't like it, if they want to take another shot, take your best shot. I don't care. People have already taken the shots. Take your shot. You think it's going to do you good to take a shot at me? I'm just talking. But while I talk, I also create. Aren't black people creators? Do we not create? Was not the genius, the labor, the stolen wages of the black man the riches of America? Is it not still to this day? Oh, they get to keep that money. There's some strange bedfellows, and I always have been fascinated about the concurrence of Christianity and capitalism. I ain't down in no Christian. Don't you guys don't get me wrong. I'm not down on anybody, but for the most part, I couldn't stand Christians most of my life, black or white. It didn't matter. It's just me. Couldn't stand them because they're so rude. They're so condescending all the time. Nobody wants to listen to you. It's like, who are you? You're just this little black kid. We need to teach you about Jesus. Oh, you better believe this, or you're gonna go to hell. And then I never had a desire to follow blindly anything, but I'm so fascinated by the story in the book still to this day. And I want to dig deeper into this Bible. You know what? Maybe I should just do the regular Bible study, because this is fascinating stuff, especially when you get a hold of the ones that they took out of there, so you wouldn't see them. You know, like the Apocrypha, Book of Enoch. Fascinating stories. I think we should get to them all, though. You know, I couldn't be a preacher, but you know what? I kind of feel the fire in me when I read some of these stories. Not the ones you hear on the national TV every day, but you know what? There's some fire in these stories. I'm like, wow, gets me kind of worked up too, just reading the story. Deuteronomy? Who? Because when you make the comparison to the existence of or the experiences of Black people for the last 400 years, it starts to get deep, because it crosses over into a lot of things. Remember the part in the Bible about being taken to a foreign land? HR 1242, government document. Congress, 115th Congress, 2017 to 2018. HR 1242. Go look this up. Google it. Don't take my word for it, but I'm going to read some of it to you. This kind of goes along hand in hand with this Bible. I mean, there's not. Look, we're gonna make the comparison. Okay, I want to make the comparison between the government, what they're talking about, and what this Bible is talking about. Okay, you know, because America was founded on Judeo-Christian values, right? They say that, right? Slavery, rape, and torture, is that part of it too? Is that a Christian value? I'd venture to say it is, if you believe and follow the Bible. To establish the 400 years of African American History Commission and for other purposes. Why? Because in 1619, apparently, even though they were probably here before, and actually there's other stories about that, but 1619, one of the first slave ships from the west coast of Africa anchored over in the east seaboard over there. And so they wanted to commemorate 400 years, because in the year 2019 would have commemorated, that'd be 400 years, right? 400 years. The Bible says 400 years. It's in there. We're going to get to that later, but I wasn't quite ready. I didn't know this would get this deep this quickly, but my God, as I dig into this Bible study thing, it's pretty fascinating. So, you know what? The commission shall plan, develop, and carry out programs and activities throughout the United States appropriate for the commemoration to recognize and highlight the resilience and contributions of African Americans since 1619. We're going to dig deeper in Deuteronomy. I'm going to go ahead and make the comparisons. I might as well finish this up, and that's just a small portion of my research. I do a lot of research. I just keep digging and digging and digging, and I love it. I love it. It's great stuff, In general, there is an established commission to be known as the 400 Years of African American History Commission. They're going to appoint members, blah, 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 blah. And okay, and the resilience, and we're into the resilience, okay, and then the resilience, and then it continues that enforce. Let's see, it kind of cut off to acknowledge the impact that slavery and laws that enforced racial discrimination had on the United States. I kind of missed a line out of there because it's printed up funny. You know what? I'm going to go back and get it. To educate the public about the arrival of Africans in the United States. Remember slavery we're talking about, right? You remember we kidnapped you, right? We're raping you on the way over, kidnap you, rob you. The story goes on. the contributions of African Americans to the United States, it's like, it's interesting. Even though a man was beaten and tortured and raped, he still has this brilliant genius, right? He has this brilliance to create things out of nothing. This is the African genius. Why? He had to do it. It's like, all right, dang, he's beating me up and making me do this, but I might as well go ahead and finish it, because if I make this machine, my work will be easier. Hence the cotton gin. Just one of many millions of African inventions that made America what America is today. But America is not America to me, at least right now. We're going to get there, because you know what? The black people had to make America do the right thing. If it wasn't for us being here, being whipped and raped and tortured and robbed all the time, we wouldn't have to stand up like during the civil rights movement, when we finally had enough. People reach a point they finally had enough of the abuse. But yet, when we finally make advances and finally get the Civil Rights Act, they'll pass it today, but they're going to snatch it down tomorrow. Am I wrong? To educate the public about the arrival of Africans, encourage the contributions of Africans, encourage civic, patriotic, historical, educational, artistic, religious, economic, and other organizations throughout the United States to organize and participate in anniversary activities to expand understanding and appreciation of the significance of the arrival of Africans in the United States. Is there a significance? Is there significance? Ask yourself. I don't care who you are. If you're that rude person that wanted to shut me down in my own Zoom room, it's like, really? You're going to talk about this? You're going to act like it don't exist? It's like, come on. Significance. The contributions. And when we stand up and tell the truth, we get shot at. They shot Malcolm. They didn't shoot Marcus, but they shot Martin Luther. What? To get you to shut up? I already been shot at. They missed. Okay. I don't know if they were gunning for me because the spirit saw me. They just saw me on fishing. I was fishing. I was just fishing. I had my pole. My line was in the water until I heard a high-powered round fly over the top of my head, and I knew where it came from. There was 3 white boys down there shooting a gun. They were just shooting, but they saw a black man. Look, I don't know if it was because I was black that he wanted to shoot me. I didn't have the chance to ask. I would have asked, but do you think he'd be honest? Say, oh no, I would have shot anybody that was sitting over there. Does that make him any better? No. Still a murderer. Murderers run rampant throughout history. The ones who kidnapped us and raped us and robbed us and put us into this subjugation they call slavery in the United States, and then the systematic oppression and degradation, and everybody just wants to act and think a certain way towards black people all the time. Even black people. Even black people act different. Ain't that funny? There's racism within racism, racism upon racism. Nobody gets it. Some of us are just a little different. That's all. Just a little different. So, anyway, the government knows that it kind of screwed up. There's people that know the truth about all of the secret organizations and societies that perpetuate this madness towards the weaker portion of the population around planet Earth. And, they sit up and, oh, by the way, this bill was signed by none other than Donald Trump. Ain't that cute? Put that in your pipe and smoke it. So anyway, people, I just wanted to talk about the Bible today. I mean, I didn't read it a lot. I don't read it all the time, but I do dig back in because when I see reference from the flat earth, the Bible saying the earth is flat. They're saying that black people were going to be sold into bondage for 400 years. The government admits as much that the Bible said that. And it's like they all know that that's what's been happening for 400 years. But then there's something called the Great Awakening. And that's what we're working on now, people. The Great Awakening. You have to face the truth. I knew many, many years ago that I was going to, in fact, embrace the truth. Truth wears no mask, seeks neither place nor applause, bows to no human shrine. She only asks a hearing. Truth. And I knew that truth would be painful to face because it is painful to see the horrors that are inflicted from man upon man throughout the world today. And some of us would like to see an end or at least a reduction in the amount of violence that is inflicted upon the weak people of this planet. For no other fact than that they are the meek of the earth. They don't deserve the wrath or the madness of the billionaires and the globalists, the ones who have corrupted the educational institutions and indoctrinated people with lies and misconceptions so that they can maximize their profit on your deception by convincing you that they have a solution for a problem that in fact they created in the beginning. And we have to look ourselves in the mirror and wonder, why would we consider someone else lesser than because their face is of a different color? Their perspective comes from somewhere else, and it's your duty to make sure that they don't continue in that they have some kind of control over contributing or making this narrative fit what they want to believe, but they want to ignore your narrative and your truth. But guess what? Truth ain't mine. It don't belong to me. So let's clear that up. Truth is not mine. It doesn't belong to me. I only speak it. You take it any way you want. And you know what? As time goes on, I think people will realize that it's that person in the mirror that you really have to deal with. It's not me. I may spark an idea or a perspective that someone doesn't want to consider because they're too embarrassed because they know that they've been looking down upon black people as if they're lesser than. Most people in America are taught to look down on black people. Everybody in America is taught to look down and disrespect black people. Don't lie it. You've heard it. You've seen it. You see it in the news. You don't want to believe it. You want to say, oh yeah, but I don't feel that way. But yeah, but you're still taught day in and day out. Your neighbors are taught. They still look at it. There's still too many what they call sundown towns in America. Why? Because people are so locked into their indoctrinations of how they need to keep others out. You don't come in here and be caught in here after sundown, black man. It wasn't too long ago, black people had to have a green book. It's like a map. Where are the safe towns? But yet in the news, you'll never see talk of that, how dangerous America was. It's like, oh, now everybody else is dangerous, you know? They send the troops to other countries and depose other leaders because why? They want to keep stealing, raping, and robbing and enslaving. And the institution continues to this day. So I could go on and on about the African children that are now enslaved so that we can have this wonderful things that they call cell phones. We're going to dig deep into why coltan from the Congo is needed to make these devices that they so desperately want you to have and to use and get addicted to day in and day out. It's a wonderful tool. It can be used, but the tool itself must be used to topple the system that it continues to enslave and to rob people from their own lands and then lie to them in their schools and say, oh, yes, you didn't do anything before slavery. Story for other days. Oh, so anyway, I had to get something off my chest today. Thanks for listening. If you actually, in fact, listen. And you know what's interesting? I didn't realize that uh, I don't know if the chat, there used to be people that show up during the chat, but it's okay, because I'm just kind of putting this out there, having fun. There's a lot of work I'm doing. You know what? I'm going to save that for other days for what the work that I'm doing and continue to work and pursue. But it's greater things. So, you know what? I'm trying to take some advice from one of my favorite herbalists. Be the change you would like to see in the world. On that note, people, peace.